Good morning. Whoa, that's loud. Good morning. I hope we found a seat for everyone. This is a problem we love to have. Thinking we might even have to add a table. It's so exciting. My name is Pamela Zappardino. I'm the first vice president of the Carroll County Branch 7014 NAACP. And I'd like to welcome you all here this morning. We look forward to this event every year. It's sort of the beginning of a week of Martin Luther King Day festivities and commemorations and service. So thank you all for being here. I'd like you to all stand so we could pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to ask Pastor Douglas Sands to please come forward and give the invocation.
Let us pray. We give you thanks, O God, for the great privilege of being your servants and your children. We ask that your blessings continue to fall on all those who are willing to struggle for peace and prosperity and freedom, especially those who on foreign soil dedicate their lives. We ask, dear God, that you would continue to bless us in the work that we do and bring into our neighborhoods the kind of brotherhood and love that should prosper in the land, such as you have given us. We ask you to bless the food that's been prepared. We ask, dear God, that you give us peace around the world. And should the winds of war continue to blow all over this earth and storms still rage in our lives, may we have the confidence of anchors in the hope we have in you to be our refuge, our redemption, our sustainer, our keeper, and our Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Sands. Okay. I'd like to introduce our head table, which isn't quite full yet, but it will be. Mrs. Jean Lewis, who is president of the Carroll County NAACP. John Lewis, who is past president of the Carroll County NAACP. Charles Collier, who is treasurer of the Carroll County NAACP. And Ms. Lynn Wheeler, who is the director of the Carroll County Library. And our speaker, who will be sitting right there, is on her way. So we will introduce her when she arrives. I'd also like to introduce the elected officials and dignitaries that are here today. And I think that's almost everybody, but you know, we had to pare it down because you are all dignitaries. But in terms of those who we've elected to an office, we have Sheriff Jim DeWeese, State's Attorney Brian DeLeonardo, Carroll County Commissioner Steve Wance, and from the Carroll County School Board, Virginia Harrison, Devin Rothschild, Bob Lord, and Jim Doolin. We have Councilman, Westminster City Councilman Paul Whitson, former Mayor of Westminster Kevin Dayhoff, Diane Foster from the City Council in Tawnytown, Hayden Shoemaker, who is a delegate to the General Assembly, Assistant Superintendent of Schools, Steve Johnson. And our school superintendent, Steve Guthrie. And did Mayor Utz sneak in while I wasn't looking? I don't see him. Have I missed anyone? And we have, I forgot, our latest member of the City Council in Westminster, Mona Becker. Congratulations, Mona. So our dignitary detector did have a flaw. Did it miss anyone else? Okay, thank you all for being here. We're always excited to have all of our elected officials here, and I would also like to thank members of both the Republican Central Committee and the Democrat Central Committee for being here as well. Okay. Oh, it looks like I'm done for the moment. I think it's time for breakfast. And I apologize if any of you, remembered that this used to start at 8 and we're, have your stomachs grumbling, but I'm just not a morning person. So we went to 9 this year. Hope you all like the new time. Enjoy your breakfast and we'll be back at you in just a little bit. Yes. Mayor Utz has made his appearance. He waited to make an entrance. Thank you so much for being here, Mayor Utz. We're back. What a wonderful breakfast. Now the trick after eating that wonderful breakfast is to make sure we all stay awake. So I got my eye on you. But thank you to the staff here at Martin's for that wonderful breakfast. I'd also like to acknowledge Delegate Justin Reedy, who came in during breakfast. Welcome. And we'd also like to thank the Community Media Center who are here filming this morning, so you can relive every moment. It will be broadcast on Channel 19, times to be announced. But as all of us know here in the county, when you're looking for something to watch on TV, if you turn on Channel 19, there's always something really interesting. So thank you very much for being here this morning. So I would like to ask Kim Jones to come up. Kim is our secretary, but she is going to present the Carroll County Youth Living the Dream Award winners.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. First, I want to start by making an announcement about what's in the program. When we printed the programs, we still hadn't been able to get in touch with all of our award winners. So 2 of the recipients are not in your program listed under the Living the Dream Award winners. So if you'd like to add them, we will display their names and you can add that later. But this year, our innovative past assistant secretary and now executive committee member, Patricia McPreston, who doesn't like recognition, came up with this great idea of this Living the Dream Award, where we sent letters to guidance counselors at the high schools as well as to the local churches looking for nominations of students who really exemplified the core character traits of Martin Luther King Jr. So if you think about when you hear his name, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., what kind of character traits come to mind for you? And when you think about what those traits are, we took the 4 core character traits and we looked for students that exemplified that. So Those 4 traits are: we were looking for students who were dedicated to serving within their local community. We were looking for those that were committed to academic excellence. We were also looking for students who had consistent involvement in activities or clubs that really promoted equality for all. And then the last character trait that we were looking at was some type of involvement in faith-based activities. So those were the 4 qualifying traits that we looked at, and we were able to select 4 individuals from the applications that we received as our winners, and they are all here today, which was really exciting. So our first, actually, I'll tell you who all the winners are first, and then we'll have them come up. So if you can stand when I call your name. First, we have Mr. Kedrick Hart from Westminster High School. Then we have Mr. Christopher Parker, also from Westminster High School. Then we have Ms. Kayla Assembly from Winters Mills. And last but not least, we have Sierra Somerville from Westminster High School as well. Now, our candidates, all the winners happen to be candidates all from the high school level, but we are also looking for elementary and middle school students who also exemplify those character traits. So this is something that we plan to do again as part of our annual presentation of Youth During the Breakfast. So if you happen to know of any, usually around October, November, we start looking for nominations, and we'll put the application on our website, so you can by all means go in there and nominate someone yourself. So first up, which is always the hardest part, right, Kedrick, is Mr. Kedrick Hart. So if you could come and stand up here so everybody can look at you and not me. Mr. Hart was referred by his school counselor, Mr. Sean Minier, and all of the information that we're sharing is what came out of the nomination form. So this is just a snapshot into their life. It is by no means it doesn't list everything that they do. So keep that in mind as we're looking at that. So for the service-based and faith-based activities, Mr. Hart is involved in the following. He volunteers on a weekly basis, as he has done for the past 2 years at Carroll County Food Sunday. In addition to that, he also collects book bags for the Shepherd Staff Program. He also collects toiletries for flood victims, and then he also participates with the Angel Tree Network for the holidays. In addition to that, when we're talking about the character trait of involvement in activities that promote equality for all people, he is part of a NASA Inspire program, which is obviously through NASA, and it's for, well, I looked it up, but I don't remember now, so I'll let you give more information if you care to. But he is part of the NASA Inspire program, which is a community program. He is the vice president of Westminster High School's STEM program, and STEM, if you don't know already, stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics Club. He is also part of the Fight Club, the Green Earth Club, and part of the Spotlight on Youth Club. So as you can see, he's very involved in many activities that promote equality for all people. Then when we look at the trait for academic excellence, that kind of looks like today's setup. So I have to make sure you stand behind here so we can get a picture of you. But he is part of the National Honor Society, as well as the Project Lead the Way engineering program. And this spring, he is actually participating in an independent study of an engineering program. And I think that's the last one, yeah. And then last but not least, on our fourth character trait, oh, okay, that was, oh, that's right, because the first, anyway. All right, so I present to you Mr. Kedrick Hart. Now, everyone except for one of the students was so shy that they didn't want to say anything, so if you change your mind, feel free. Next, we have Mr. Christopher Parker. If you could come up and stand next to the podium for us. Now, Mr. Parker has provided service to the community by coaching his younger brother's youth football league. And he served over 300 hours with them, and they actually won the Super Bowl. So, woo-hoo. As far as demonstrating his commitment to academic excellence, he participates in rigorous coursework. He's an AB student and is college bound. Yay! All of our students are college bound, by the way. As far as involvement in activities and clubs that promote equality for all, he participates on the football and basketball teams, and he's also a peer facilitator. Now, as some of you know, I used to work at Westminster High School, and our peer facilitators are especially helpful in helping other students that have issues with one another work out their problems amongst themselves before counselors and administrators need to get involved. So that's a really good demonstration of helping to promote equality for everyone. He is also involved in faith-based activities that include ushering at his church. It kind of looks like you today. Mine's a sweater. So with that, I present to you Mr. Christopher Parker.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I feel like I'm roasting the students today. Does it seem that way to you? All right, so next up we have Miss Kayla Assembly. Now, Kayla provides service to the community by volunteering at Brighton Senior Center. In addition to that, she also volunteers at the Women's Shelter. And she also has done an internship with Dorothy Scanlon, who was is a candidate for the Maryland House of Delegates. So you see her there with some of the people that are here today. In addition, as part of her involvement in activities that promote equality, Kayla is involved in a summer leadership program with the United States Military Academy at West Point. She also worked with the Model United Nations Club, and she is part of the Student Government Association Advisory, and she's a member at large with that club. And she was elected as the student representative of her school for the Carroll Curriculum Council. So, and then last, she is a Rotary Youth Leadership Award 2015 student representative as well. And for academic excellence, Kayla has a cumulative GPA of 4.28. She is ranked 15th in her class of 253. She is in all advanced placement as well as honors classes. And she participates as well as leads the youth group in some of the community activities at her church. So this particular picture is from the church youth group First Fridays that they do. So with that, I present to you Ms. Kayla Assembly, who is our brave, bold one that wants to talk.
Thank you. I would like to thank the Carroll County NAACP for the Living the Dream Award that recognizes youth community service. The Roman philosopher Marcus Cicero once proclaimed, "Not for ourselves alone are we born." At this moment, I cannot think of a statement more fitting. I have to say that this award is not only a reflection of the services put forth into the community, but is also a reflection of those who first taught the value of serving others, like Dr. King, my mom, my dad, family, teachers, coaches, and most importantly, God. Lastly, I look forward to using this award as an incentive to continue community service, involvement, and putting forth high academic quality. Thank you.
And last but not least, we have Miss Sierra Somerville. Sierra provides service to the community by handing out food and distributing clothing to others in need as a program with her church. She promotes equality for all people in clubs like she is part of the Bloomsburg Summer Camp, where she serves as a role model to young girls while helping them learn about dance and fashion. She also is part of the stand-up club at her school, which is basically a bully prevention club, so quite along the lines of equality for all. And she also participates in the cheerleading as well as the track team. And as far as demonstrating academic excellence, Sierra also participates in the Student Government Association. She also takes all AP and honors levels courses, and she plans to attend law school after college. So with that, we present to you Sierra Somerville. So what I'd like to leave you with as part of this presentation is a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?" So congratulations to all of our winners, and keep up the great work to all of you.
Thank you, Kim and Patricia. Wow. And I have a feeling that's only the tip of the iceberg of the students we have here in Carroll County. So congratulations to all of you, and best going forward. Now I'm going to call up President Jean Lewis for a special presentation. This one is not on your program, so it's a surprise.
Good morning, everyone. I just want to thank you all for coming to our breakfast. It was wonderful to have to set up extra tables. So whenever we have something, please remember, if you think you're not going to be able to make it at the last minute, come on down. I'd like to call Superintendent of Carroll County Public Schools, Mr. Steve Guthrie, to come forward, please. The first thing is, I'd just like you to take credit for what we are doing in Carroll County Public Schools. What wonderful, outstanding young people we are producing.
Absolutely.
And to hear that all of you are going forth to college. Remember, we offer a scholarship, and so does the former students of Moton, and Sally Green is sitting over there. Raise your hand, Sally. She will be the person who will be with that education committee. So please, please, we can't ask it enough. Please, please apply. Patricia, the applications are in the schools now. The applications are in the schools. The due date is April. You don't remember? The due date is in April. So see your counselors. Please, last year we were not able to give money away because of lack of applications. So I'm making this bid right now. So we see that we have 4 people who are going to apply. Sally, you know you have 4 people. Mr. Guthrie this is your 4th year, correct? 5th. This is his 5th year as the superintendent of Carroll County Public Schools. When he took his first, prior to him even being put into that position, I said, I want to meet. As soon as you're placed in that office, which we did meet, a committee of us met, we wanted to make sure that the things that Dr. Eckert had been doing with Carroll County Public Schools were still being covered. He has exceeded that. He has an open door policy. I can walk in anytime. I can talk about issues that are going on. He calls me when there are issues going on. We were privileged as a branch to write a letter recommending Mr. Guthrie to become the Maryland State Superintendent for 2015. We were privileged to be able to be part of that by going to Ocean City. And I think it's a wonderful thing that we have in Carroll County. We have truly got a jewel. If you have not gone online and read his Vision 2018, where he talks about how he wants to roll diversity into the whole school system and work on all of these things that we need to work as a cohesive community. And we really, really appreciate all that Mr. Guthrie has done for us as a school system, how he listens to what we may not say, we may not agree, we haven't had that happen yet, but we may not always agree on what our philosophies are. But we know we have a listening ear in that office, and also with the committed people that are on the Board of Education at this point. So I just want to thank you for always being there for us, making the strides that we need to see here in our community. Yesterday, I went to an ETM council meeting at the Board of Ed, and maybe it was there before and I just didn't notice it, I was in a hurry. But yesterday morning when I walked in, I was there the day that they presented him the banner. But yesterday, it's on the exterior of the school building, supporting him and congratulating him for being chosen the Superintendent of the Year for 2015 for Maryland. So if you don't go in, just ride past the entrance and see that. I was highly impressed. I was going to go up to your office but didn't have time. Okay, this is presented to Stephen H. Guthrie, Superintendent, Carroll County Public Schools, by Carroll County NAACP, Branch 7014, January 10th, 2015. We appreciate and honor you for your commitment to diversity and for being named Maryland Superintendent of the Year 2015 by the Public School Superintendents Association of Maryland. And also, we have another citation. It's from the U.S. Senate Benjamin L. Cardin, Certificate of Special Recognition presented to Stephen H. Guthrie on the occasion of your selection as 2015 Maryland Superintendent of the Year, presented by the Carroll County NAACP, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Breakfast, January 10th, 2015, Benjamin L. Cardin, United States Senator, Maryland.
Thank you again.
And as our tradition, we have a book for you. In case you don't know, we have a partnership with Random House, and I pick what I want.
And they give it to us.
And they give it to us. So we have something about African American history in the United States, and I think this will be something that you will really enjoy. And I signed it so you can't give it away.
There you go. Just want to take a couple minutes to say thank you to Jean and John for their wonderful letter that I'm sure clinched it for me for the nomination and being selected. But I do want to thank the NAACP and all the groups. Nobody wins an award like this by themselves. In fact, after the application process, after the nomination, there was a lengthy application process I had to go through. And very few of the questions were about me. The questions were about the school system and what we did to achieve the status we have in Carroll County Public Schools. So I share this award with this group and with the other groups, with the wonderful, motivated students. It is really just a recognition of our school system, and that's how I treat it. So thank you very much. I appreciate your support, and thank you, Jean.
Carroll County is going places. Okay. Next, I'd like to ask Lynn Wheeler to come forward, Director of the Carroll County Public Library, and she will be introducing our guest speaker.
Thank you, Pam. As Pam said, I'm Lynn Wheeler, the Director of the Carroll County Public Library, and it is my great pleasure to introduce my colleague and friend, Dr. Carla Hayden, CEO of the Enoch Pratt Free Library in Baltimore. Last year, Dr. Hayden celebrated her 20th anniversary as the CEO of the Pratt Library. During that time, she has led this illustrious Maryland institution through a significant transformation, through its new and renovated buildings and state-of-the-art services, The Enoch Pratt Free Library plays a vital role in reaching the education goals of the metropolitan area. The Enoch Pratt Free Library also oversees the activities of the State Library Resource Center, which among other things coordinates interlibrary loan for the state, moving books daily from library to library throughout the state, leading to Maryland's reputation as library heaven. Prior to coming to Baltimore, Dr. Hayden was the first deputy commissioner at the Chicago Public Library. In fact, Chicago also offered her the CEO job, but they were a few hours too late. So Chicago's loss was Maryland's gain. Dr. Hayden received her master's and doctorate in library science from the University of Chicago. She has honorary degrees from the University of Baltimore, Morgan State University, McDaniel College, and Washington College. She serves as an adjunct professor at the School of Library and Information Services at the University of Maryland. Dr. Hayden serves on many boards, including the board of Baltimore Gas and Electric, Baltimore Leadership School for Young Women, the Downtown Partnership Authority, Goucher College, the Maryland African American Museum Corporation, and the Institute for Museums and Library Services. She was appointed for that position by President Obama. She served as president of the American Library Association, and in 2013 received its highest honor, the Joseph Lippincott Award for Sustained Leadership. She also was named Library Journal's Librarian of the Year. Among her many other honors recognizing her outstanding leadership, Dr. Hayden was named to Maryland's Top 100 Women Circle of Excellence and received the Johns Hopkins University President's Medal in 1998. So it is my great pleasure to welcome her to Carroll County.
I really have to thank my colleague Lynn, because we serve in library heaven here in Maryland together and have been friends since I arrived in Maryland. And I'm smiling because there's a person here who loves to hear that lengthy introduction, and that's my mother. So award winners, congratulations, and just know that and congratulations to your family members who are here too, because this is just the start, and they will be keeping up with every award that you receive from now on, and making sure that the introduction includes this one as well. So congratulations, and also to Superintendent Guthrie. I just, being named in a state that is #1 in the country for education, as you know, Maryland, to be named the #1 superintendent in that state is an honor, and congratulations. And also, I understand that your father, there's a library named after your father, so you may not know that, so thank you. And also to Miss Lewis, Mrs. Lewis, who has been attending the Pratt Library's annual Book Lovers Breakfast for a number of years, and I see that in her awarding of the book and signing her name, she learned a few tricks from librarians that you definitely make sure you sign it so it cannot be given away to anyone else. But I'm really honored to be here today, because I looked at the list of some of the prior speakers for this event, and I was really intimidated. In fact, I decided not to name them so you wouldn't think about it while I was talking. And also, just to be here at a time where we're really facing challenges that speak to what librarians do. You know that librarians have one of the strongest stereotypes of any profession in the world. When you think librarian, You think, what, a bun? Oh, he's nodding, yes. You think, shh, whenever they have, yes. Whenever there's a commercial on television about some new product, they show a librarian, and you know if the librarian goes wild, as we say, that it must be a good product, because librarians are not known for that. But what they are known for, and we've been called this, feisty fighters of freedom. The freedom to know, the freedom to read, and the freedom to have ideas presented, different ideas, and to battle them out. And so when you think about what's going on and what has gone on in the last few months, and Dr. King's message of the freedom to not only vote and participate in society, but also to speak out and to know and to have education as a major vehicle to your civil rights, you realize that we're living in another time, even with the 50th anniversary of Selma and the movie coming out. And so there's been a lot of talk about what happened 50 years ago. You realize, though, that we, of course, are on a continuum. And with the events in Ferguson, in New York, and then in the last few days, that people are being killed because they are opposed to other people having different ideas. And the ironic part, based on religion. Now, the character traits that your awardees were given their awards for listed academic excellence. And Dr. Martin Luther King was a voracious reader. He read more than, they said that he always had several books with him. And when Representative Congressman John Lewis talked to a group last year, he mentioned that when the freedom fighters, and especially the young students, were protesting and they knew they were going to go to jail, they packed books in their book bags. First book, of course, was the Bible. And then they chose other books to take. When you think about what reading and being allowed to read anything meant, you can just look back into the history. There's a wonderful book, the first full-length history of reading. Now, it's a wonderful book. It's called The History of Reading. And each chapter has a different section. One section talks about glasses and optics, that until text was invented, you didn't really need to have glasses or optics or things. And as some of us get a little older, we definitely need glasses. But that's one book. But the chapter that is most compelling and speaks to the freedom that we have is called Forbidden Reading. And that chapter has a photograph of, a very rare photograph of a slave outside of a cabin with a book. And inside that chapter, it talks about the fact that reading a book, getting that knowledge, was forbidden in so many cultures, and particularly in slavery. Slaves, and there's another book, and as a librarian I have to keep, I will mention books, called When I Can Read My Title Clear. And it's about the conflict sometimes with literacy and the African American community because of what happened in slavery, when there were actual laws to prevent slaves from learning to read. And when you think about it, like, why would that be an issue? You know, they brought slaves over to work and things like that. Why wouldn't they want them to read? Well, because books were dangerous. There were ideas in books. As Frederick Douglass, in his famous autobiography, noted, when he realized his mistress was teaching him to read, and the slave owner came in and found out, and he was just so upset. he said he knew right then that reading was important because it was forbidden. You could get your hands cut off for reading. And so the conflict with reading was, imagine, you're on a plantation and the older people in the African American community would catch a young person trying to read, and their natural instinct is protection. So don't do that. Don't read that. Don't learn that, because that could get you in trouble. That could even get you killed. And so this conflict of literacy and reading. The forbidden reading chapter says, and I can almost read it by heart, but I'm going to just read it directly. As centuries of dictators, slave owners, and other illicit holders have known, an illiterate crowd is the easiest to rule, because the act of reading, once taught, cannot be unlearned. And once you learn to read one sentence, you can read all. And if you cannot prevent people from learning to read, the second best recourse is to limit its scope. So think about that. You limit this, you burn books. You see so many instances. You ban books, you challenge books. You may not, some of you know that there's a week that's called Banned Books Week. And they put out all the books that are banned. The number one book to be banned, of course, is the Bible. There are a lot of dangerous things in the Bible. Let my people go. Whoa. You know, all of that rebellion and the slaves and stuff like that. In that book, When I Can Read My Title Clear, in slavery they thought, well, if you could, for instance, teach the slaves to read so they could read the Bible, that would be a good thing. Because you get your reward in heaven, not on earth, so you wouldn't worry about the conditions so much. You're waiting for the beyond, so concentrate on getting to heaven. But then when the slaves start reading the Bible, they got to those sections about freedom and things, so they had to limit that. During slavery, when you had the opportunity to learn to read, there are famous stories of slaves who could read, but the overseers couldn't. And so many stories of the Underground Railroad, you have those sections where the slaves would write something for the pass, and the person who was checking their credentials and things couldn't read either and was so embarrassed would just say, here, go ahead. And that's how they would get through. So this relationship with reading and being prohibited to get knowledge has been a theme with civil rights. When you look at the roles that libraries have played, one of the main reasons, wow, okay, Mr. Pratt, one of the reasons I came to Baltimore in those few hours was because of what Mr. Pratt said in 1882. Mr. Pratt was a Yankee that came down from Middleborough, Massachusetts to make his fortune. He was a Unitarian, and he came from a family that actually had roots in the Quaker tradition. And he was a contemporary of Mr. Hopkins, Mr. Peabody, all of these names in Baltimore. In fact, he was a pallbearer at Mr. Hopkins' funeral with Mr. Walters and Mr. Peabody. So all of these guys in Baltimore at that time were picking different institutions to support. And Mr. Pratt picked the public library because he believed in knowledge. And he said in 1882 in Baltimore, and I'm from Illinois, so I have learned that Baltimore is sometimes considered the start of the South. And it's, when we drive out to Illinois every time, it's very interesting to see that sign saying you are now crossing the Mason-Dixon line when you enter. But Mr. Pratt said, my library shall be for all, rich or poor, without distinction of race or color. And in 1882, that was after, the Reconstruction was starting, all of that. But for him to say that, and for many, many years in Baltimore City, The Pratt Library was the only place that people could go of different colors and see each other and be together. Now, some people have also said that there were times that some of the staff members weren't that happy about the people of color coming in. But the main point was that they had access. They could get in. And once you could get in, you could select and read and do whatever you needed to do. Librarians were called feisty fighters for freedom several years ago after 9/11. And there was an act called the Patriot Act. And some of you have probably heard of the Patriot Act. And it was really to allow law enforcement to have more opportunity to fight terrorism. However, one of the things that they put into that act had to do with what people read. And the act had a section that said that the government could contact libraries and find out what you were reading, and we couldn't tell you. So say, for instance, you were interested in the term jihad. You just wanted to know what it's about. If you looked it up, and even the computer records, and the younger people know that, so you're Googling, or you're looking up something and looking up jihad, the government could come in and ask for everybody who had looked for that term and then run it with different things. And we couldn't tell you. In fact, librarians were put in jail because of that. The power of just being able to have the information, but the conflict with what does that mean if you are just interested in a subject, you don't intend to join jihad possibly, but you just want to know. So the conflict with that. So books and the ideas that they contain have been a major part of civil rights and everyone's right to be and to grow. Now, I hesitate a little bit in saying this part, but I think this is a group that it would be safe to say it in. When we look at restrictions on certain educational institutions, libraries, schools, funding, things like that, you might want to consider what you're restricting, people's opportunities to grow. When the defense budget, and this for a nation, is larger than the education budget, when there are restrictions on library hours, for instance, or the types of things and the amounts of materials that can be purchased, you're also looking at choices that a society is making. So the next time you look at budget items and things like that, you might want to just think about what are they restricting? What are you not getting access to and being part of them? As Frederick Douglass, and getting back to him, famously said, once you learn to read, you will be forever free. Because once you seek knowledge and get knowledge, they can't take it away from you. To hear the young people and what you're doing and how you're pursuing it and mixing all the professions and things like that, if you keep pursuing that, that's something that people can take away a lot of things, but not what's in your head. Not your ability to learn and to keep learning. And I would just encourage you also, and I'm speaking directly to them because I work with young people, and in this electronic age, there's so much information out there. You can Google anything, and little secret, librarians Google. We're not so excited about Wikipedia, but we do Google. And you do know that a lot of the things that you get electronically, it's the Wild West. There's no control over the thing. So someone with, anybody can put anything on the web. And so looking at the sources and who is this coming from and where is this coming from is very important. But it also is a tool that's been used so effectively for civil action. When you look at what happened with Ferguson and the different protests that are going on and people getting together, The young people have used that tool to communicate, to organize, to do that. You have tools that 50 years ago, imagine 50 years ago if they could have used some of those tools. And imagine too what it took in the age before cell phones and things to organize a march on Selma and have all those people there. So you have the opportunity, you have the tools, and even in this age, what's in the book is more important than anything else. So I want to thank you for letting a librarian come before you, because we're still feisty fighters for freedom. We're going to make sure that if somebody says that a book is not to be read, we're going to make sure you get a chance to look at it, even 50 Shades of Grey. You have your right to know. So thank you so much, and please know that your efforts are appreciated and that I'm honored to just be here today with you. So thank you very much.
Well, I think I want to go back to school and become a librarian. That was great. Okay. I'm so excited, I can't read my program. We have an announcement about some upcoming events now at Silver Oak Academy, and I'd like to ask student athlete Smith to come forward, and he's going to tell you all about those.
Good morning, everybody. I'm student athlete Smith from Silver Oak Academy, sophomore. I'm informing y'all on the events we're hosting at Silver Oak. On January 22nd of 2015, Martin Luther King celebration will be hosted. Donations are accepted. It's from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. We're having guests Lorenzo Nicholas, aka Stitch Early, Christian hip-hop artist, Shepherd University Jazz Band, Silver Oak Academy Jazz Band, Frederick Missionary Church Choir, NAACP of Frederick, Mr. Miles Ward, Human Relations Commissioner of Frederick, Wendell Poindexter, artist of FCC, Pastor Brooks, Frederick Missionary Church. The address is Silver Oak Academy, 999 Crossmill Road. And we're also hosting a Valentine's Day breakfast on February the 14th from 7 a.m. through 10 a.m. Silver Oak Academy is opening its doors to celebrate Valentine's Day with an all-you-can-eat breakfast. Tickets will be sold at the door and in advance. $8 for adults, $4 for kids 10 and under. Location will be the Workforce Building at Silver Oak Academy. Please join us. Donations are accepted, so y'all can just come out and have a little fun with us. Thank y'all.
And remember, Silver Oak Academy has a culinary arts program, so you can be sure that anything they do, the food is pretty spectacular. So that's just a little added incentive. We had 4 student athletes from Silver Oak Academy join us on the Zepp Center's Civil Rights Tour just this past week. And it was a great experience, and we love working with Silver Oak. So thank you all for being here this morning. One other announcement on the Martin Luther King Day holiday, which is the 19th, Monday the 19th. For some folks, it seems like it's a day off, but we would like to consider it a day on. not a day off. And we've been doing this, I'm getting my notes. Thank you, John. We've been doing this for about 6 years now. The Carroll County Public Schools, McDaniel College, the Ira and Mary Zepp Center for Nonviolence and Peace Education, and the Carroll County NAACP are collaborating again to have a program that day at McDaniel College. And it's for students in grades 3 to 12. This year, the 50th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act, we're going to focus on the importance of voting. And students who participate will have an opportunity to learn how voting machines work. They'll have an opportunity to understand some of the obstacles that have been placed in people's way. We will have them taking a literacy test that was used in the state of Louisiana some 50 years ago in order to qualify some people to vote, not all people. And so we're really looking forward to this date. We will be doing a service project, putting together packets of toiletries and warm items for clients at HSP and the cold weather shelter. So we hope that you will help to spread the word. It goes from 9 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon. If you have questions, you can see me or Ms. Pat Levroni or Jean Lewis, and we can fill you in. Parents are welcome to come and participate with their children. And we're also looking for donations of gloves, socks, travel-sized toiletries that the students can put together to deliver to human services programs. So there's a lot going on in this period of time between now and the 22nd when Silver Oak has their Martin Luther King Day celebration. So remember that this is a time that we specifically focus on the work of Dr. King, but we hope that we will keep that spirit going all year and not just for 1 week. I'd like to invite Mrs. Lewis back up for some closing remarks.
Kimberly, you're going to do it. We'd like to make presentations to our outstanding Living the Dream winners. You can do it.
All right, at this time, we would like to present our Living the Dream winners with a couple of tokens of appreciation and motivation. So we'll do it in alphabetical order just like we did before. So we'll start with Mr. Kedrick Hart. If you could come up to the podium. And if you bring up with you the people that came with you, that would be great too. Thank you.
I'll read them.
So the presenters are being awarded with a token from Random House along with a certificate of the Living the Dream Award. And in addition to that, they're also being awarded with a certificate from U.S. Senator Benjamin Cardin as a special recognition certificate. So congratulations. Our next presentation will be to Mr. Christopher Parker. And if you didn't notice, let me point out to you that our categories of winners were all from engineering. We had our political science, we had our law, and then we also had, what was the fourth one? military. Thank you. So when you're leaving, please make sure that you stop and congratulate and motivate them to continue to move forward. Thank you. Our next presentation is to Ms. Kayla Assembly. And then we also have Miss Sierra Somerville. Come on, Dad and Grandma. You too.
And her grandmother's, stand up, is back there. As I said earlier, we just want to thank the students and continued success in your chosen career. Carly, Dr. Carly, would you come up, please? How can you give a librarian a book?
You can. It's all right. I had to teach you.
So we gave her something that she could go and have a nice meal.
Ooh, my mom. Thank you.
She's such a wonderful person, and she's always so energetic, and I just love and adore going, thanks to Lynn Wheeler, inviting me to go with her to the Book Lovers Club. This year, the book club, well, the book that's being done, the writer is Missy Copeland, who is the African-American ballerina that you see on the Under Armour commercial. So I don't know if she still has room for you, but get in touch.
Please come.
Please come.
All right. Thanks so much.
And I'd like to thank Dr. Carly for coming and graciously presenting to us. I mean, I'm jotting notes about libraries that I didn't even have any idea. Although working with Lynn, I knew that they didn't all have the little button. Thank you for your information that you were willing to share with us, and we definitely appreciate. You can come anytime. We'd love to have you come back with us. We have memberships applications. John Lewis, raise your hand. If anyone is interested in joining our organization, I've already talked about our scholarship. One of the ongoing projects that we are working on with the Community Media Center, and we have 3 representatives from the Community Media Center, Marion Ware, wave Marion, and who's the director, Sherry Taylor, and the last young lady, I don't remember your name. Okay. She will be taking over the history project. I have that right. Yes, she will be taking over our history project. For the month of February, the NAACP has a new project that the Media Center has been working on with us. It's called Trailblazers of Carroll County, African American Trailblazers of Carroll County. And it talks about people who were first or close to first in that. So we've done, I think, close to 20 interviews, correct? And that body of work will be shown during the month of February for African American history, Black History Month. And there's several people in the room who have given their interviews, and there's still a couple more. We're trying to make those schedules work. So please watch Channel 19 for that. We always have to thank the Media Center because they're always gracious to us. And in case you haven't heard, there are 2 Media Center award winners this year. Every 2 years, they have what they call the Volley Awards, which are like the Oscars. So, Patricia Preston, please stand. One for her documentary that she did on Robert Moton School. In case you aren't familiar, it was a segregated school here in the county. And she did a documentary where she interviewed 17 people. And it's excellent. If you haven't seen it, just Google it on the Community Media Center website. So she was awarded a presentation for that. I also was awarded an award for the Outstanding Volunteer of the Media Center Board. So I think for the NAACP, that really says a lot that we came away with 2 awards for our organization. Our next thing we're working on is getting information together for Henryton Hospital Center, which was a tuberculosis center for African Americans here in the county. So we're getting that project together. Sometime in the spring, we will have I need to backtrack. There is a road sign that has been placed to commemorate that, but we will have a dedication for that, and we are currently working on putting that together. We will send the notices out. One of our young ladies did her thesis for UMBC on that. So she's given us a whole lot of information. So we really are constantly looking for ideas to work with the Media Center. They're very receptive to whatever we have. So if you know someone who was a patient, an employee who did their nurses training, which the sign does not say, and I don't know if we'll be able to get that included about the nursing, they're training African American nurses there, but we're working on that. But in the spring, after this thaw, we will have a presentation, and hopefully the Media Center will be covering that. We've already talked about that. I just want to thank everybody. Lynn Wheeler, how could I forget to thank you? Whenever I call Lynn, she is more than welcome. Gives us a warm and fuzzy feeling that we can always use her. She's very responsive. And I'd like to thank all the elected officials who were able to come, the Republican and Central committees that were able to come. And we need to continue to do the work of Dr. King. It's not out of fashion, it's not out of date, and we need to be conscious of the laws that are trying to be passed to restrict our voting rights. We don't want that. It's not a good idea for anyone. People have already died, shed blood for that. I personally have walked over Edmund Pettit Bridge with one of the civil rights tours. And let me tell you, 40-some years later, I felt intimidated walking across that because it was like the ghost of the past were there. So, and I want to plug the Marion Ira Zepp Center for Peace and Nonviolence. If you get a chance, please, in January when they go on their tour, please try to go on that, because it really helps you embody what the civil rights movement was about, and meeting with people who actually were there during that time frame. So I just like to thank everyone who's come this morning. We certainly hope you enjoyed it. We hope you will come back again. We hope you will join our memberships. Any high school senior who is graduating, please have them apply for our scholarship. And I thank you so very much this morning.
As Jean just said, we've made a lot of progress over the past 50 years, but there's still a long way to go. And we're going to ask you to join us in affirming that we shall overcome. So if I can get everybody to stand. And hold somebody's hand. As many people as you can make contact with here. We might be able to get one big group going around the room. Okay? And it doesn't matter whether you think you can sing or not, sing out. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Thank you. And remember to hold that thought as we move forward. I'd like to ask Pastor Douglas Sands to give the benediction.
Now go in peace, and may the God of peace go with you. Amen.
Have a wonderful day, and please drive carefully out there.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you so much.
I love you.